Thanks so much for joining me. We're seeing significant wildfire activity across much of northwestern Ontario this week. This very impressive satellite imagery from Monday evening between about 5 and 8 p.m. local time showing a rash of intense fires burning from extreme northeastern Minnesota deep into northwestern Ontario. And these fires really showing signs of extreme fire behavior at the surface, driven by very hot and windy conditions. We can see that smoke rapidly getting blown downwind. And in this video, we'll also talk about who could be dealing with smoke. It looks like millions of people potentially through eastern North America. So we'll talk about who's going to get it and when. Also seeing signs of extreme fire behavior in the northern end of this cluster here with this pyrocumulonimbus cloud shooting out of that one particular smoke plume there. That's a fire-generated thunderstorm. When your fire is burning so intensely in a favorable environment, it can generate its own thunderstorms. And to the north, for reference, there's a regular cumulonimbus passing along there, and that pyrocumulonimbus being generated by that fire. So very intense fire behavior ongoing at the surface. When I was a wildland firefighter, we would have called these ABC fires. That's armchair, binoculars, and camera, because you're not getting anywhere near them on the ground. We're talking flame lengths 2-3 times the height of the treetops. Dropping water on them, it just evaporates. It's a bit like spitting on a campfire. So there's not much you can do. It makes it very challenging to try to work with these fires when nature is really just running its course. It's very humbling. So these fires are very intense and they're burning rapidly across the landscape. Many reports that some of these fires made several kilometer-long runs on Monday evening, and likely seeing more of that activity as we get into the rest of this week. A lot of these fires generated by lightning since the end of June. This cluster here in northeastern Minnesota looks like around July 6th or so, these ones ignited. And some of these fires, including the Thumb Fire and the Bear Trap Fire, have now crossed the international border into Ontario. These two fires on either side and east of Atikokan, June 30th, and then this particularly active cluster here through much of the heart of northwestern Ontario, basically between July 9th and 13th. Very remote areas, lots of lightning activity in recent days. And you can find out more about these fires on the provincial government website here from the Ontario government that basically overlays these fires, news starts, ongoing fires with ongoing wildfire danger out there. So anywhere in the world, wildfires need 3 ingredients. 1, fuel. 2, ignition. 3, weather. Favorable weather conditions. And we'll talk about how each of these have been playing a role in this particular fire outbreak in northwestern Ontario. So let's talk about fuels first. And by fuels, I mean vegetation. Forest vegetation, in order to carry a wildfire, tends to need to be very dry. And so in order to dry out forest vegetation, you need warm, dry, and windy weather. Over the past 10 days, we can see much of the province of Ontario has been well above normal, and especially here focused in northwestern Ontario, where most of that action is. Precipitation-wise, also very dry during the same time frame, really focused over that region of northwestern Ontario. This is going to be favorable for drying out these forest fuels and making them able to carry wildfire. Let's talk about ignitions. Well, we've got a very strong ongoing upper-level ridge of high pressure in the northern states right now, and to the north, we've been having several rounds of thunderstorms generating thousands of lightning strikes, many of which are through the Canadian boreal forest region, including across much of northwestern Ontario there. So there's your ignitions, and in particular, it looks like sort of a window between late day July 11th and early on July 12th. A lot of those problematic wildfires burning northwest of Armstrong, Ontario, were ignited likely in that period of like late evening on the 11th and early on the 12th. There they are right there northwest of Lake Nipigon. And of course, these fires are just ballooning in size, chewing up forest quickly and likely going to merge in size and unfortunately blowing towards several communities which are currently evacuated, including Armstrong and several surrounding communities. In terms of weather, well, like I say, we have a very strong, even record-breaking upper-level ridge here in the northern United States. An upper ridge basically just brings sinking air on the large scale in the atmosphere, clearing skies, compressional warming, and very hot surface temperatures. And like I say, based on this particular model here, it's forecasting values that are record-breaking for some areas of the northern states and southern Canada, at least based on the period of record that this model operates on. I think it's 1979 to 2024. So in any event, very hot temperatures, and in fact, record-breaking temperatures. Many stations recording daily high temperature records across northern Ontario. On Monday, during the peak of this wildfire episode on Monday, Armstrong, which of course is evacuated at the moment, 40.8 degrees was the high. That's about 105 Fahrenheit, very hot temperatures. So again, you have your hot conditions, and we also have a lot of strong winds. This forecast model showing through Monday, winds gusting in excess of 50 kilometers an hour through much of northwestern Ontario. Bit of overnight recovery, but then into Tuesday, those high winds continuing. And then again, it looks like they're going to die down a little bit for us there as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, but remaining somewhat elevated and gusty, which will help these fires spread, especially given the dry fuels and the hot conditions. So there you have it. There's our three main ingredients. As for how things look today on Tuesday afternoon, we can see those fires still very vigorous and very much wind-driven across northwestern Ontario, generating a pall of smoke that continues to be blown eastward. And unfortunately, the winds in the atmosphere are going to favor the smoke blowing southeastward toward highly populated areas of the northeastern United States and eastern Canada in the coming days. Most of that smoke pall from Monday's burn basically already out here into the Atlantic off the eastern seaboard of the United States. And some of that's going to come wrap back inwards. But of course, smoke can travel at different levels of the atmosphere. So some of our smoke models here showing, for instance, this one, showing very thick smoke, but this is vertically integrated smoke. That's basically just smoke throughout the entire depth of the atmosphere. So not necessarily what we're getting at the surface, but nonetheless, this very dense smoke is going to darken your skies, make things look a little bit orange and brown and perhaps hazy out there. But we're also concerned for how this could influence our air quality in the days to come. And so this is Environment Canada's fireworks smoke model. Looks like we're going to be seeing high concentrations of that PM 2.5 tiny particulate matter that we can breathe deep into our lungs, really just degrading air quality through much of the Great Lakes region. Looks like several major cities going to be dealing with reduced air quality. Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, into the United States. We're talking Boston, New York, Philly, Washington, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Minneapolis at times as well. So millions of people through eastern North America likely going to be dealing with wildfire smoke from these wind-driven, lightning-ignited, largely wildfires through northwestern Ontario and extreme northeastern Minnesota in the coming days. And of course, conditions are unfortunately going to continue to be favorable for growth of these wildfires in northwestern Ontario for several more days because of those warm temperatures and windy conditions. This is the Fire Weather Index, basically just an index showing fire intensity as it relates to fire suppression efforts and based on fuel moisture content as well as spread conditions, windy conditions and whatnot. So we're seeing like fire danger continue to be extreme here through much of northwestern Ontario through Tuesday. Getting into Wednesday and even Thursday, we're still seeing elevated fire danger across much of northwestern Ontario, including that area where we're seeing those fires really burning vigorously northwest of Lake Nipigon in particular. In terms of our forecast, what's to come for the rest of the week? Well, we're looking at relatively dry conditions, like I say, persisting through at least until perhaps late Thursday or early Friday. Some rain possible through northwestern Ontario, but a lot of that could be convective, meaning there could be still more lightning strikes that could potentially ignite more fires in the dry fuels. Beyond that time frame, we start to see divergence in our models. On the left, I've got the European here, and on the right, I've got the Canadian. Regardless, it looks like both models are, they're slightly off in their timing and positioning, but they're both showing a relatively significant precipitation event through northwestern Ontario that could bring some relief as we get into late weekend or early next week. So fingers crossed for this outcome. And as well, temperatures again remaining elevated here in northwestern Ontario above normal, except out by the Hudson Bay shores there. But northwestern Ontario remaining elevated in terms of temperatures, remaining above normal through much of the rest of the week, at least until that precipitation arrives later in the week and perhaps drawing some cooler air there out of the Arctic into northern Ontario. So it looks like that could be our first true sort of period of relief with these fires. But in the meantime, likely going to be seeing significant wildfire smoke generated from this particular cluster of fires here from extreme northeast Minnesota into northwestern Ontario that'll influence air quality for millions downstream. So protect yourself from that poor air quality. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you very much for subscribing. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk to you next time.